dress very plain, but they actually do have color in their fashion. Some will dress with black, green, blue, brown, and even lavender in both genders' clothing. But patterns in the fabric are taboo. However, when out in public, Amish men will wear black vests, and in the winter months, black suit coats, and will wear a wide-brimmed hat as well. Women, on the other hand, will wear a bonnet, an apron, and a cape in the winter months. Being shunned, long beards, and religion are also a very big part of Amish stereotypes, way of life that have been stereotyped. Being shunned, or maidam, is a lot more serious than the media portrays it to be. When someone is shunned, the community is not allowed to buy or trade things from the excommunicated, or even talk to them. The long beards are also a way to tell if the man has been married or not. And also you will notice that no Amish men have mustaches. And religion in the Amish life is also a very big part, as most of you could tell. The demeanor of the Amish is actually portrayed quite the same as it normally is. The Amish present themselves as quiet, plain people who keep to themselves and do their own thing. The side we see of Rumspringa is mostly what you would expect it to be. The teens are all about having all sorts of electricity, throwing parties, and all other sorts of things. The parties the Amish throw are not what you quite expect them to be. The Amish throw huge parties that can take up entire farmsteads. And at the end of the nights, the teens will end up sleeping wherever they can find a spot.
Amish kids got the best parties. They got the wild parties.
The Amish kids or teenagers are known to have parties where you'll have several hundreds of kids there. They bring them in from other states. Some of the kids have it on their own parents' property. Usually the parents know what's going on. They just think, well, it's out in the back field and we're not going to mess with it.
Biggest party I've ever been at. There were over 1,500 people there that they counted. Amish kids from Montana, Florida, Texas, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, New York State.
You turned 16 like my first weekend. It was all the alcohol I could find. Everybody just piling it on you. And it's just what you're expected to do.
First party I went to, I got really drunk. I mean, really drunk.
I was freaking out. I didn't know what party it was, but got drunk off my ass, puked, just, a couple beers.
I remember waking up the next morning in the front lawn, under a tree. The tree was dripping on me. It's right during the night, thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I just done it.
I was scared right at first, but I just kind of partied on.
Alcohol and technology use are not also hard to find during an Amish Rumspringa. Beer and other alcohol are very common to see at most Amish parties. While teens will use most social media websites, have a car, and own a radio, and have a cell phone. However, at the end of this Rumspringa, the Amish teens will have to give this up. Drug use and dealing isn't exactly hard to find either. For example, while watching an online film, I got to watch a young man who uses and distributes crank. Crank, also known as methamphetamine, is a highly addictive drug that affects the mind. This man was actually kicked out of his home and was using and distributing through a friend's trailer home. The Amish, as you can see, some Amish like to go out, get drunk, and hang out with their friends. But what about the side of the Amish Rumspringa that we don't see? There are some teens who like to withhold the Amish tradition, have nervousness over their life decision they're about to make, and the conservative parties that some will have. How the Amish withhold tradition during Rumspringa is interesting. Amish teens will typically, the Amish girls will typically wear the clothes that they would wear when they were Amish, and the boys will not wear Amish clothing and wear English clothing. Also, most girls will live at home, while only some boys will live at home. And the girls would do chores they would typically not do when on Rumspringa. The nervousness that some have over making their life decision seems really hard. If they choose to stay with the church, they face with the fact that they face with the fact that they won't get to do what they wanted with their life. And if they stray away from the church, they face with the fact that they might be going to hell. Making this decision seems impossible to some. The conservative parties that some Amish have are what you would expect them to be. Some like to go out, just like to get together with small groups of friends and play board games, while others like to have a little bit bigger get-togethers and have supper and sing German hymns. Sometimes staying in is better than going out.
Today, we first explained the history of the Amish Rumspringa. Second, we took an in-depth look at an Amish teen's perspective of this subject. And finally, we investigated what society's views are and how the general population sees the Amish. The Rumspringa will continue to be a strong and testing part of any Amish youth's life. Society will also continue to be a powerful interpreter of not only the Rumspringa, but of all Amish practices. This tradition has had a profound effect on how society views the Amish, and perhaps always will. If you were in this position, where would your faith lie?